We have breaking news just into CNN and a key development for one of Donald Trump's most controversial nominations, Pete Hegseth for Secretary of Defense.
CNN Learning Alaska Senator Lisa Murkowski says she is a no on his nomination. CNN's Manu Raju joining us now. So Manu, Republicans, as we know, have a very narrow majority in the Senate. What does this mean for Hegseth?
Yeah, this has been very closely watched, what Lisa Murkowski ultimately would do. She's one of a handful of Republican senators who have not said how they would vote, and Murkowski is a perennial swing vote, particularly on controversial bills and on controversial nominations like Pete Hegseth. And in a long statement that she just put out on X, she goes after Hegseth, raises questions about his character, raises questions about his experience, his fitness for the job, raises questions about allegations of personal misconduct and statements that he made in the past criticizing women in combat. Now, this is what she said as part of this statement. She said, after a thorough evaluation, I must conclude that I cannot in good conscience support his nomination for Secretary of Defense. I did not make this decision lightly. I take my constitutional responsibility to provide advice and consent with the utmost seriousness. Now, she goes on to talk a lot more about a number of issues. She talks about these allegations in the past about sexual assault and excessive drinking and the like. Hegseth, of course, has denied that repeatedly, including at his confirmation hearing. But she said that Mr. Hegseth has admitted to, including infidelity on multiple occasions, which she says demonstrates a lack of judgment that is unbecoming of someone who would lead our armed forces. She really just raises concerns about character, about fitness, and simply says he is not the right choice for the position. Now, this vote is coming up this afternoon, a critical vote. It would be to clear a Democratic-led filibuster. In order to do that, they need to have a simple majority of senators, meaning in the 53-47 Senate, we expect all Democrats to vote no. That means that he can't afford to lose more than 3 Republican votes. And now with Murkowski, will there be 2 more or maybe 3 more Republicans who will vote no? At the moment, no other Republicans have announced their opposition. Someone to watch, Senator Susan Collins of Maine. She did indicate earlier today that she believes she's have enough information to make a decision on how to vote. She would not say how she would vote. Another person we are watching, former Senate Republican leader and current Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell. I asked him yesterday and today how he would vote on Hegseth. He declined to comment. We'll see how he ultimately comes down. But even all that, Republican leaders are still confident that Hegseth will be confirmed by the end of this week, despite Murkowski's opposition, because they believe Republicans ultimately will fall in line. Guys.
And Manu, when it comes to that procedural vote later this afternoon, what are we anticipating is going to happen there?
Yeah, that is simply to end debate, but it's a critical vote to end debate. It's to move to a final vote, and that is a straight party line vote is really all they need here. It's a simple majority, which means 51-49. It could be 50-50. That means if they lose 3 Republicans, J.D. Vance, as the vice president, would come in and break the tie and give them enough votes. And then there would be 30 hours of debate. And then we get to a final confirmation vote by Friday night if there's not a deal to move the vote sooner. But that vote today is so critical, because if it does clear that critical hurdle, that means that he'll ultimately be confirmed by tomorrow. So that's why we're watching this vote so crucially in just about an hour. Guys.
Yeah, you imagine that the vice president is going to hang closely in case there is a 50-50 tie. Manu Raju live on Capitol Hill. Thanks for the latest.
CNN Chief National Affairs Correspondent Jeff Zeleny is live at the White House. So in terms of this nomination, it was seen as difficult. Have we heard any reaction at this point from the White House to this announcement by Senator Murkowski?
Well, Erica, there's no question that there have always been concerns if all Republican senators would vote for Pete Hegseth. But the word from Senator Murkowski that she is not going to is likely not that surprising to most people here at the White House. We've not seen an official comment from them since she has come out saying she would not support him. But they know that the math is still on their side, even if narrowly. It would take 4 Republican senators to decide to vote against him. For J.D. Vance, the vice president, to break the tie, he would still be confirmed. I think the bigger question here is she going to be alone, or is Senator Susan Collins going to join in with her and vote against, as often happens? But we know that some of the biggest questions about the nomination of Pete Hegseth have already been answered after his confirmation hearing, when Iowa Senator Joni Ernst, of course a combat veteran herself, who had questions about the conduct of Pete Hegseth, she said she was voting yes. Now, if she would change change her mind, which there's no indication of that at all, despite some of this new information. And if other Republicans would come out, say Senator Mitch McConnell, for example, he has not specifically said how he'll vote on all of these nominees, that would be more of an issue for concern. But as of now, at least, the math, they believe, is still on their side.